Hey folks, I'm Alex Story with Skill Mammoth Digital, and this is day 11 of me building my digital marketing agency in public. Quick primer, Skill Mammoth Digital. We build websites, SEO, digital marketing, and of course automation for folks primarily in the trades or the pro services. So this series, I just talk about what we do every single day, and I grow in public. I answer 4 specific questions. Today's theme that I want to focus on just before I jump into like the questions is why I think monthly calls are important with your clients because they help you with upsells. So that's the premise of today, but let me just jump into the questions. Every single day I answer these 4 questions. How much did I make in the last 30 days? What am I doing to get more money? What am I doing to keep that money by obviously fulfillment in the business? Then what am I doing from a strategy perspective to fix things inside? Same 4 questions every single day. So if you want to join along with me, those are the 4 questions you need to ask yourself, and I'd love to share and we can rise together to the top. So what did I make? $43,634 in the last 30 days. It's flat, right? No new sales today. That's okay. We've had an amazing, last 30 days, which is great for, a small agency like mine. So what are we doing to get more of it? So I did book 1 call today. I ran a sales call today, and then I sent 1 proposal, technically 2, because 1 is to an existing client. So the new proposal that I sent out was a $3K plus $699, which is my typical offer of, website build and then, ongoing SEO and Google Business Profile Management. And then I also nudged a few older proposals. I'll probably do a call right after this video that I'm recording to a client just to kind of nudge them right after this, just to dial them on their cell phone. But one thing that I want to talk about today is this thing that I think a lot of other agencies run into, and I have this urge too, right? Where, when you build a system for folks, you kind of like set it and forget it, have the client kind of manage it. They're good to go. They don't necessarily need you anymore. But my advice to you is to fight that instinct, right? Have ongoing calls, do that client success management. What I do with most of my clients is I build in a monthly call on purpose, right? So we either do monthly or quarterly, depending on how much they're paying for. And this is why that's important. This is why I keep the call. First, it's perceived value. They get, oh, wow, I get a dedicated strategy meeting with my marketing guy every single month or every single quarter. So it adds to the dollar amount, right? They're not just paying for, the system to run. They're paying for a mini coaching session with me. And then it also helps with less churn, right? That relationship is hard to cancel. And then, there is a built-in upsell. And this is what I want to talk about today is because it naturally begs the question, especially when you're working with a client that's crushing it, is what else can I be doing? What else, can you do for me? And then, well, hello client, we can do all these things for you. And this is how much it's going to cost. So that's the built-in upsell. So for example, today I had a meeting with a client. It's their monthly strategy call. And they've been crushing it. We went over the reporting and whatnot. 27% increase in traffic since we started working with them. Clients thrilled, and so they asked, what else can we do? And I pointed them to 2 things that we had. So cold outbound and then ad management, right? And they're in a market where ad management would actually crush. There is a limit because it is a very unique niche. So the web traffic they probably have would get the total addressable market would be probably covered pretty quickly, but the cost per click is only like a couple dollars. So they could just buy all the traffic in the market and then, they're good to go. But anyway, I digress. For me, that's $1,000 in MRR. If they do the cold outbound and if they do the local ad management, that's $1,000 in MRR. And so I pitched it and I'm 90% sure they're going to buy. So if you're on the fence on if you should do strategy calls, ongoing calls with your clients, just do it. 1 hour per client is fine. And it's how, you keep them and grow them. And obviously, if you get big enough, you can always have a dedicated client success manager do those calls for you. And that's kind of like my path. So 3, let's talk about, we talked about sales. Now let me talk about like what am I doing for fulfillment. The week's getting away from me, just, random asks, random meetings. And so I'm not having enough heads down time to focus on my deliverables. So yeah, the build sliding, I don't know if I have the energy today. I've been doing this for 12 hours today, right now as I'm recording, and I'm feeling pretty beat. I should continue working, but I probably won't. I'll probably just log off after I do that phone call with that client and then just hang out with my family for tonight. And then, but tomorrow I only have one meeting, so my plan is just to just crush, heads down, do this work. So we'll see if I can clear that whole list. I'm hoping I can do that. And then strategy wise, I'm thinking about fixing the inside. I mean, the VA would help with some of this fulfillment work. And I have, a massive windfall of cash from the last month that I could hire like a VA, maybe two. And then my fear is I've hired VAs, I've hired different part-timers in the past, and they've always sucked. And so if I'm going to hire a VA, I need to really make sure I have systems in place, I have SOPs in place, I have an onboarding in place where they can just jump in and hit the ground running and like not really have an opportunity to suck, because what they need to do is very clear. And it doesn't require a lot of like, me, because also management's a problem. I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to have to answer questions all day long, because otherwise I just do the work, right? And that's kind of something that I need to kind of isolate and figure out. So one other thing from a strategy perspective that I don't have here on the slide, but I might, now that I landed that staffing agency yesterday and I've got an IT company and I've got coaches, all this kind of stuff, I've been thinking about potentially having like a dedicated landing page on my website, and then using like a cookie to show people the website that's more relevant to their part of the business. So some sort of subtle, I don't want to make it as blatant as having like are you in home services or are you in pro services on my website? Because that could hurt my homepage's SEO. But maybe like a button somewhere in the hero and above the fold that says, I'm in pro services, actually, not in trades. And once they click on that, a cookie shows them that dedicated landing page. So next time that they go to my website, it's more focused on their particular business, right? So like if they're in the pro services, all the case studies they see are from folks that are in the pro services, and vice versa. If they're a contractor, if they're in the trades, all the case studies and whatnot are going to be from folks in the trade. So it's a little bit more of a complex thing that I'd have to develop, but the path is there. From an SEO perspective, I don't want to lose the juice that I have on my homepage, so I have to spend some extra time. But from a conversion mechanism, people will convert higher if they see stuff that's relevant to their industry. But anyway, just a nerdy thing to talk about from a strategy perspective. But just yapping at this point. If you like the video, like it. Let's keep on grinding, keep on growing. Bye.